Howdy folks, Eric here, back with another standard brew. Today, excited to get into this one. I'm going to be taking Giantcraft Midrange, this big, chunky Naya Midrange list, into a traditional standard event today. It's a Bright Glass Gearhulk deck built around the idea that Giantcraft Helm is a really powerful equipment if you can manage to equip it onto things. Works really nicely with Nova Hellkite, works really nicely with Balustrade Worm. But the idea here being that outside of like having that combo, that synergy, it kind of clogs up your hand. So we're just on 2 today, with the plan being that we cast a Bright Glass Gearhulk, find the helms when they're good, otherwise access our toolbox of removal and other effects here. 3 Day of Judgment, a lot of removal, 1 Blacksmith's Talent as an alternate way to enable the Giantcraft Helm. Kind of an MVP sort of card against like controlling lists that can't really manage all of these little baubles that we have, and a bunch of extra little spicy one-ofs that I've included this time around from the previous build. 1 Vibrance, down from 4 Balustrade Worms, and then 1 Scout the City. Now, I don't know, this card was discussed a little bit during spoiler season. 2 mana sorcery, choose 1, either mill 3 cards, put a permanent from among them into your hand, gain 3 life, playable for 2 mana. Destroy target creature with flying, playable for 2 mana, kind of. I mean, the fact that they're both on 1 card really helps the flexibility. The idea here being, in a really, really long game, when the Delirium on our Balustrade Worm really matters, having a way to not only put a sorcery in the graveyard in a deck that only has Day of Judgments for sorceries, but also be able to like mill a few extra cards and maybe hit an enchantment, maybe hit a land to put in the graveyard to enable Delirium. I think it's a little harmless inclusion that might come up. Otherwise, that's pretty much the idea here. It's a really sweet toolbox list, very super mid-rangey. 25 lands, several man lands, and 1 Pit of Offerings to find off of a Vibrance, as well as a Valgavoth's Lair to find off of Bright Glass Gearhulk. And then as for the sideboard, because we're pretty like kind of taking the position of the control a little bit into creature matchups in our main board, our sideboard is to help us with more controlling lists, bigger like controlling deck lists with a playset of Voice of Victory, a couple Surax, a few more Bright Glass targets in the form of Ghost Vacuum, Soul Guide Lantern, and Authority of the Consoles, and then, of course, we're in red for a reason, partly due to Pyroclasm. This is a great include, I think, in a lot of decks right now, namely due to the presence of Izzet Prowess all over MTGA, in the leagues, in the ladder, so on and so forth. Okay, really excited to jump into this one today. Hopefully we can pull out a cool 5-0. It'd be one of my spiciest 5-0s so far, I think. This is a very interesting deck list. Oh, I forgot to mention Herd Heirloom. Herd Heirloom is here too. All of our creatures enable it pretty nicely outside of just the random like Dragon Sniper here and there. Good source of card advantage, helps us skip from 2 mana to 4 mana. Otherwise, we don't have any 3-drops in the main, which is kind of interesting. Could be a deck design flaw. We'll see. Played pretty well last time. We'll see if it plays well again today. All right, starting out on the play. Not a good hand. Let's just go ahead and put this one back. No green mana, I think, is a little rough. Okay, this is a lot better. We have a turn 2 Herd Heirloom, which if we can draw a 3rd land, start drawing cards off of our Nova Hellkite here. Day of Judgment could be good. I think I'm going to put back the Get Lost. Keep everything else. Going in blind here. Just lead on a tapped Sacred Foundry. Playing against Dudas Priest. So I haven't played this list since Lorwyn Eclipsed, or since before Lorwyn Eclipsed. So there have been some new cards that I considered adding, like the Kithkin Avatar, Figure of Fable, and Skateboard also kind of a consideration. Most of our creatures naturally have haste, and we can get haste out of Blacksmith's Talent, which I think is kind of an all-star for this deck. So ultimately I settled on just a Vibrance, I believe, from the new sets. Just kind of a pet card, to be honest with you. I think it's very good, almost in any situation, and I think I like the idea of just having a card that can help us find man lands in the late game in grindy matchups. The one unfortunate thing about being in this, let's just seam rip the Higher Claw and pass here. The one unfortunate thing about being in Naya is that none of our man lands have a base power of 4, which works really well with Herd Heirloom in the late game. That's kind of a drawback here, but kind of non-negotiable at the same time. I think Nova Hellkite is the best thing to be doing with Giantcraft Helm. And then on top of that, you can't play Bright Glass Gear Hulk without white, you know? Let's just go ahead and warp in a Hellkite of our own. Get a little redraw. Actually, let's just play this Herd Heirloom. We can double draw next turn. I think that's a little better. I am kind of dying, but their mana situation seems a little rough for them. Mountain plus 2 Soulstone Sanctuary. Burst Lightning to the Dome. Feeling okay about that. There's a Giantcraft Helm. Well, I'm not that crazy. Let's just get the Giantcraft Helm on the field. Let's warp this Hellkite. We'll get 1 draw and deal 8 damage, which is pretty tight. And then we'll be able to fully cast it next turn. So Hellkite enters. Giantcraft says, whenever a creature you control with mana value 5 or greater enters, attach the equipment. Vibrance, also another creature that you can attach this to. Although no haste makes it a little worse. You could also just pay a full 5, which could come up in the late game. Tapped Temple Garden here. I think our Nova Hellkite's a little better than their Nova Hellkite. They find a mountain. They deploy a Needlehead, which I actually don't care about that much. Let's just seam rip this. I'm not going to risk hurting myself here. I'll just cast this Hellkite off of the Herd Heirlooms. Hit them for a cool 8, and I'm pretty sure they can't deal with this. Play the Sacred Foundry tapped. I can't really envision a way that they can win from here. They cast a Needlehead. Pass it back to me. All right. Pretty clean game 1 against Mono Red aggro. They got stuck on their colors a little bit there. Let's bring in the Pyroclasms. Authority of the Consuls. Let's go down. Probably don't need the Blacksmith's Talent here. Although it's kind of nice with Basilisk Collar in the late game too. Scout the city pretty decent here. Option to gain 3 life, redraw, and then kill a Nova Hellkite. Let's go down on the Balustrade Worms a little bit. Maybe cut down just on our top end across the board here. And Herd Heirloom. Fill in the gaps with Pyroclasms early. This seems about right. Yeah, I think this looks pretty good. Our top end is going to stick. It's just about surviving to that point, I think. All right. On the draw. This hand's a little risky, but I'm going to keep it. I like the early Pyroclasm. I like the early Herd Heirloom. The land is a little slow. The mana is a little slow. But good removal. The main obvious problem with this... Sorry, I just got distracted by whatever the fuck this is. What is with all of these weird weird pets in this game? Never punished. We rip a Bright Glass Gear Hulk off the top. So I was going to say the one weakness of this hand is we don't actually have anything proactive to be doing, but right when you need them. What is this? It's like a little armored dog or something. I guess that's exactly what it is, huh? Back in my day, the only pet we had access to was a little piece of cabbage, and we were happy about it. They level up the Higher Claw wisely. I guess we go for the Prairie here. So next turn we can either cast a Get Lost or Herd Heirloom if we want. We could also maybe think about double Pyroclasm sometime in the future. A little annoying that they leveled this up. But surely Pyroclasm will still be good eventually. They continue to level this up. I think I just have to Get Lost it at this point. Okay, never mind. We draw a Seam Rip. So we can Herd Heirloom plus Seam Rip. Pretty big game. That way we can cast a Gear Hulk next turn. And Gear Hulk finds Basilisk Collar, of course. No skateboard, once again, unfortunately. I mean, it comes up a little bit that, like, yeah, sometimes skateboard would be good, but in the matchups where skateboard is good, aka, I think, typically, like, grindier controlling matchups, Blacksmith's Talent is even better, really. Let's go for Gear Hulk. Let's grab Hard Light Containment and Basilisk Collar. I think I like that. Or maybe Authority of the Consoles plus Basilisk Collar. I think that makes sense to me. And we'll just play a Sacred Foundry tapped. Now they have to answer the Gear Hulk. I kind of have all of my bases covered here, I think. The one other problem is if they do deal with the Gear Hulk, now my Basilisk Collar doesn't do anything. But outside of that, I can manage Nova Hellkites in the future. I can manage a wide board. Feeling pretty good about this. They're swinging in with the Needlehead. This feels like bait. Oh, they just burst lightning my face. Yeah, I'm just going to take it. Not going to fall for the bait here. Double burst lightning. Down to 6. Pretty low. But I think I can just afford to get lost the... Actually, no. No reason to get lost here. Let's just play and equip the collar and then play the Authority of the Consoles as well. Start swinging in. Go up to a cool 9. I'm pretty sure they can't really win from this position. Outside of, like, Sunspine links from downtown, but even then we can manage that with our get losts. So, feeling pretty good here. Redraw into a Seam Rip. Take a ping off the Needlehead. Exile their Burst Lightnings. At the very least, it'll give us red mana, which is not irrelevant. They have to have exactly double Lightning Strike here, which I guess does kill me. There's Oyer Axonil, which I can kill in my upkeep to keep them from pinging me here. Go for our draw, and then we can Seam Rip the Needlehead here, and they scoop it up. Nice. All right, pretty convincing win. I think we're lined up pretty nicely into the mono-red strategy. I feel like mono-red has... I'm not really a mono-red guy, but it seems like they've probably had a hard time in metas as of late, and the loss of Screaming Nemesis really kind of put their deck into the trash bin, but on to the next one. Feeling good. Match 2 on the play. Okay. It's a pretty good hand. We get turn 2 Herd Heirloom. Let's go ahead and lead on this Valgavoth's Lair on green. I think that makes sense to me. Because we can get double red off of Herd Heirloom. We need to be able to cast our Gear Hulks as well. Intimidation Tactics. Okay. They get to check out my pile. They might just take the Herd Heirloom, but it's probably best for them to take the Nova Hellkite, if I had to guess. Maybe the Vibrance. They take the Herd Heirloom. I'm not feeling too bad about that. We draw a Stomping Ground. Let's go ahead and get the Blacksmith's Talent rolling. So, a lot of words on this card. I'll leave it up on the screen for a second here. But basically, our goal is, against really grindy decks, that black decks especially, that can't deal with this once it's on the board, we can level it up to, say, equipped creatures you control get double strike and haste, and attach equipments for free once per combat. So, to avoid paying the steep 5 mana cost of the Giantcraft's Helm in the late game, we just use the Blacksmith's Talent, which we can find off of Brightglass Gear Hulk, to give our creatures haste and double strike and make them huge for very little work, really. Unstoppable Slasher. I guess we just pass here. Hold up to Get Lost in case they have the guy. I think I'm going to take this hit. Actually, you know what? I might as well get Lost right now, and then I can Vibrance to deal with it forever, right? That seems pretty good. And then if they play a Bloodletter, I'm not, like, thrilled about that, but I can manage. Sunset Saboteur. Revealing an unholy annex. Okay. Seam Rip. Let's go for the doggy here. It's not going to have haste or double strike or anything, but we can find a manland and permanently deal with the stalker here. I think that's worthwhile. We can actually just find a land to discard to the ward on Sunset Saboteur. That's probably better. So maybe we just grab our Pit of Offerings, which is not going to be otherwise relevant here. We do get to equip the sword. Probably not too relevant. Sunset Saboteur, kind of scary in this position. 5-2 Menace. Archenemy's Charm, they just clean up my dog. Okay. Crack their map. Another Archenemy's Charm. Not bad. Hard Light Containment. Yeah, go for the Seam Rip here. Discard the Pit of Offerings, and then let's roll up the Blacksmith's Talent. Now this is a online and a very, very real threat. So any of our top decks at this point, Bright Glass Gear Hulk, Beza, become nice, hasty double strikers. And that doesn't take too much effort to eventually kill our opponent that way. Draw into another Seam Rip, unfortunately. Maybe in retrospect should have grabbed a man land just to have extra bodies. They fully level up the Ritual Chamber. We do have an answer in the Seam Rip, though. Giantcraft Helm. Okay, actually not the worst draw. Because now... we're still a little ways away from lethal. Them gaining that extra 2 life there took them away from Giantcraft plus Sword being lethal on a Nova Hellkite. We're getting close, though. It's iffy. If they fire up the Soulstone Sanctuary and just hit me, that's probably their best play. What is this? Taka and Razar, terrible 2s. Turtle Wolf Mutant. Alright, we are dead to not drawing really much of anything in the late game there. I guess, is there any way we live? If I exile the Taka... and they hit me with these guys, and then I die to the Unholy Annex trigger. Yeah. Alright, scoop it up. I think we can win this matchup pretty easily, though. Moving to sideboard. Let's bring in... First, let's cut the Day of Judgments. Or at the very least, let's go down to 1. Maybe the first one's okay. And then bring in Ghost Vacuum to help manage... Unstoppable Slasher. Surak is also pretty good here in a very removal-heavy matchup. Go down a couple Seam Rips as well. Not a whole lot of targets here. Although they seem a little more like aggro-leaning, so maybe Seam Rip is pretty decent. Dragon Sniper seems good. Get Lost pretty good. Maybe just like Authority of the Consoles to keep them off of blocks, help gain a little life. Voice of Victory also may be decent. Helps prevent them from like using their instant speed removal to disrupt our like little combo is what you could call it. I think this looks okay. Maybe Voice of Victory doesn't actually really do anything. Their creatures are pretty big-ish and probably just block the Voice of Victory. Maybe I want the first Soul Guide Lantern instead, or just 2 Day of Judgments. Yeah, let's try this. 2 Day of Judgments, bring in the Ghost Vacuum to help manage the Slasher. Okay. On the play. Game 2, pretty good hand. Yeah, I guess in retrospect, you might be able to say that them Intimidation Tacticsing my Herd Heirloom really slowed us down. Let's lead on the Giantcraft here. We have a pretty fast Warped Hellkite with the helmet. Don't Tactics me, bro. No. Okay, apparently Tactics lines up super well with what we're doing, but it's not that played in the meta, so I'm not that worried about it generally. It just happens to kind of ranch me a little here. They're going to take the Herd Heirloom again. Seems pretty good. We draw a Surak, which is not bad. All right, start deploying our stuff, I guess. Cross our fingers that we eventually stick this Surak. Ideally next turn. Torpor Orb. That's not a huge deal. Although we do just draw a Bright Glass Gear Hulk. Pass it back to you. Duress. Whiff. Nice. Kind of feels like they don't have a whole lot going on if they're opting to do that. So I never really fully read this card. Can't be countered. Menace. Whenever a player casts a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast it was less than its mana value, deals 3 damage to that player. I see. Pass it back to you. Draw a Get Lost. Not the worst draw. Swamp for our opponent. Bloodletter. Alright. Kill off the Bloodletter. Take 3. Land? It is a land. Tapped, unfortunately. We could still win this. Unholy Annex on top maybe puts the game out of reach. They're showing me everything. Yeah, this game would have been a lot different if we managed to get the Herd Heirloom down on turn 2. But alas. I want to play something that'll stick here. Double Menace is actually really annoying against us, though. Maybe I just play the Gear Hulk. They can't... I could just warp the Nova Hellkite to ping the Sunset Saboteur. But then I'm dead over the course of 2 turns. If I play the Gear Hulk now, I can equip the Collar next turn. Yeah, the Double Menace is actually... I think I'm just dead to that, right? I guess what I have to do is I have to warp the Hellkite, kill off the Saboteur. Oh, wait, this works against warp too? Oh, okay, makes sense to me. GG, wow. Absolutely ranched. Well, can't win them all. Move on to the next one. Match 3, on the play. Pit of Offerings kind of messing us up a little here. Gonna skip on that. Sure. At least we won't be stuck on mana this way. Skip on the Valgavoth Slayer here. Might as well just lead on a Dragon Sniper. I feel like last game I maybe misread what my opponent was up to and should have brought in Pyroclasms in retrospect. At the very least, it would have looked good in that last game for sure. Vampiric Rites just hits the field. Okay. See what my opponent's up to with this. Sear Slicer Goblin. Not a bad card. Go for a Seam Rip. Go for a Collar here. Play a little Stomping Ground action. Perfect mana at the very least. All set up to draw a Bright Glass Gear Hulk next turn and pop off. Eclipsed Boggart. Okay, got ourselves a little Goblin matchup here. Draw another land. Well, go for the Basilisk Collar here. Start gaining some life. They could trade off here. I doubt they will. Or maybe they're considering it? I don't know. Play a Temple Garden and pass. Boggart Mischief seems like it's going to be a little tough for us to beat unless we top deck, unless we start drawing action. If we continue to draw lands over the course of the next 2 turns, I think we're going to be in a pretty rough spot. Actually, Giantcraft Helm is not the worst draw, to be honest with you. I'm going to hold back on the Dragon Sniper now and just plan to equip this next turn. Little 5/5 lifelink, Vigilance, Reach, and Death Touch, but at this point it doesn't really matter. 5/5 Vigilance, lifelink, pretty good. At the very least, I'll be able to trade it into many of their goblins. They blight again. Double Mischief on the field, so anytime a goblin they control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, I gain 1 life. Or the opposite, rather. I'll just go ahead and block the Boggart here. Blacksmith's talent. Okay. So, I mean, I might as well do this. Actually, kind of coming together here. Kind of coming together here. Is it worth shocking myself to equip the sword? I guess technically. Technically, probably. Free equip on the Giantcraft Helm, and then next turn, our sniper's going to have double strike. And now we're kind of in a position where any of our creature draws keep us in the game forever, basically. We're pretty firmly in the game right now, but we are one bitter triumph or whatever away from not being really in the game. Feed the swarm. There's the bitter triumph or whatever. So now we are once again at the mercy of our top decks. And my opponent's drawing cards. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. Seam Rip. I guess I maybe just take them off of the Vampiric Rites here. Fully level up the talent. I'm not that scared of Vampiric Rites, but at the same time, if I'm just top decking and my opponent's drawing cards, they can eventually overwhelm me. There's also maybe the argument for just holding on to the Seam Rip, and maybe this is a little hasty. But I think this is okay. At the very least, takes them off of the ability to guarantee just like sacrifice all of their goblins at the end for a big fabulous burnout. Another interesting card to consider for this list is like one or two oh, I can't think of the name of the card off the top of my head. We draw a Restless Prairie, which is not bad. The new elf from Lorwyn Eclipse, that 3 mana 2/4 that you discard a card. You know what I'm talking about. Discard a card to tutor for a creature. Just having the ability to discard like our irrelevant cards in the late game to find Nova Hellkites and oh shit, it's Kranko. Balustrade Worms, etc., etc. Well, even if we draw exactly Day of Judgment right now, we're dead to the Boggart Mischiefs. So we actually need to draw exactly Bright Glass Gear Hulk, I think. Instead, we draw another Restless Prairie. Okay. Equip the sword. Equip the helmet. Swing in. Oh, the Basilisk Collar is not equipped. Oops. Yeah, that was a goof. For some reason, I was like, it's already got lifelink. Pretty sure we were dying there anyway. Bringing the Authority to the console seems really good here. Pyroclasms. One or two, maybe. Beza seems really, really good. Let's go down on... Dragon Sniper is a little unimpactful. I think we're pretty well positioned for this matchup. It was just kind of a matter of mulliganing to 6 and then not having really any action. Or did I mulligan? I don't remember. Not really having any action. Let's try to not make that same mistake this time. I think this looks pretty good. Definitely a matchup we can win. Definitely a matchup we can win. On the play, game 2. Gotta mulligan this. Okay, this is a really, really nice hand. Let's put back a Seam Rip. Tapped Temple Garden, turn 3 Gear Hulk, off to the races. Not really much that can go super wrong here. Second Herd Heirloom. Maybe this is a list that needs a Gold Vein Hydra. Just another... I feel like sometimes with the Herd Heirlooms, you just run out of material to make them work. And having a Gold Vein Hydra in the list to grab off the Bright Glass Gear Hulk helps you at least have more material for your like relevant creatures for your Herd Heirlooms. Go for the Gear Hulk. That was kind of one of the reasons I was considering Figure of Fable as well. Instead, I'm going to go for the talent. Actually, let's go for Authority of the Consoles, and I do like the talent, I think. Talent plus Authority. Getting this online quickly Gives us a lot of longevity. Boggart. Okay. I'd say we're firmly in the driver's seat then. We can double draw off the Herd Heirloom and play an Authority of the Consuls next turn. Balustrade Worm from downtown. Let's start with double drawing. Definitely going to play the Authority. Probably going to shock and play the Blacksmith's Talent here as well. Basilisk Collar, okay. Play the Authority. Play the Talent. Pass it back to you. I'm pretty sure we're going to win this one. Especially with the Basilisk Collar draw. Eventually setting up just big hasty lifelink, worms, etc., etc. Feed the Swarm. They lose 4 in the process of doing that, which is nice. Maybe next turn I just cast... Yeah, maybe next turn I just cast the Worm and keep the pressure up. They're at 12. Their stuff's coming in tapped. I draw a Pyroclasm, which is interesting. Is there a world in which they kill me next turn? If I just, like, ignore them and I shock myself here, I go to 14. Probably not. They need too much to do that, I think. I think it's pretty safe to go for the Worm plus double draw idea here. And then if my Worm lives, feeling pretty good, I think. It seems like maybe they only have Feed the Swarms to kill my creatures anyway. At least from what I've seen so far. Which, putting them at 2 makes things a lot simpler. It's just a Nova Hellkite off the top, right? Draw more removal. Another land drop. Boggart Mischief. Okay. A little bit of life gain for them. A little bit of life gain for me. Presumably they swing in here. I think I'm just going to plan to try to do the Basilisk Collar thing now. Hits me. Makes a Goblin. Okay. I can't fully level this up and just kill them outright. But I can play the Collar. Level up the Talent here. And then I guess I just Seam Rip the Seer Slicer Goblin. Or maybe I Seam Rip the Vampiric Rites to keep them off of this little extra sustain. It's 2 mana. I guess if they spend their whole turn doing that, they're not winning. Kind of feels like they're not really winning anyway. If they go like land plus Boggart Mischief plus an actual real sack outlet, maybe I'm afraid. They're thinking about chumping the Seer with the Seer Slicer. Why? Okay, well now they're definitely not winning. But I also think the life gain that I'm getting from my Authority of the Consuls just makes this a little too hard for them. Yeah, play a tap Sacred Foundry here. Pass it to you. Pyroclasm in the back pocket if we need it. Another Boggart Mischief. It's the kind of thing that could set up into a possible win for them, but at this point it's more so like just staving off the inevitable. I think it's going to be hard for them to actually find a way to kill me with the extra life gain I'm getting. Another Vampiric Rites. If I Pyroclasm now, they gain a cool 8 off of that, which is not super ideal for me. Actually, I just give the Worm Double Strike. Pretty much all I have to do, right? I get to equip the sword for free for a little extra damage boost. And then the cool thing about this interaction, too, with the Talent and Herd Heirloom, is if I give the Herd Heirloom effect to the Worm, I get to draw it twice per Herd Heirloom, which is, you know, maybe arguably like a late game, like sort of greedy extra bonus that you get out of this. But it's a lot of cards when it happens. Pretty much seals the deal, right? All right, pretty sweet. I guess I just like take them off of any possibility of winning here, really, by starting to exile their tokens. Might as well cast another Herd Heirloom. Next turn, I just have a Hasty Gear Hulk, which will put the game away. Kind of beating up on this, what appears to be a somewhat budget Goblins build, perhaps you could describe it as. The Vampiric Rites is a little suspect. A lot of 3 toughness on their guys, so Pyroclasm. Probably still good, but maybe not that necessary. Maybe we just play toward this big lifelinker every game in this matchup. Well, they're just dead. Little double strike action. It's making me target something. Hitcha. On to game 3. Okay. Winning on the draw against this Goblins list. Winning on the draw. We still must want Pyroclasm, just in case they do go crazy with the Sear Slicer Goblin. It is a possibility that happens, right? Let's go up to the full 4, I think. We could also just like double up on him in the late game. And then probably just need 1 Helm for this matchup. And down a Worm. 12 creatures. Maybe that's too few. Maybe the Suraks are good enough here, actually. They don't die to our Pyroclasms. They help contest the board early. And they're probably going to live. You know, it doesn't seem like they have a whole lot of like damage-based removal, so it's not like they get a nice little cheeky lightning strike to kill Surak. Let's go down to scout the city. Let's go down a Day of Judgment. I don't know. It's obviously a really good tool against them, but them being on the Boggart shenanigans makes things pretty tough in that capacity. Sometimes the board wipes are will actually just kill you if you try to cast it, you know what I mean? So maybe get lost to manage the Boggart shenanigans prior to a Day of Judgment. Makes sense. A lot of options here. Go down a Seam Ripper 2 maybe. a lot of options here. Do we even need the helmet? Maybe we don't even need the helmet. Go down a Herd Heirloom. Go down the talent here, maybe? Yeah, we can probably do without the talent. Just run it like this. Heavy interaction, just try to stave off dying. Manage the Boggart shenanigans. Boggart mischief? Whatever it's called. The enchantment. Beza is huge. Beza is probably our best individual card in this matchup. Beza with a Basilisk Collar and Herd Heirloom. Little trampling, Death Touch Lifelinker. I think... Wait, they gave me the play? I'm always so shocked when people do this in these traditional standard events. Okay, I'll take it. We draw a Surak. Should be kind of a beatdown here, I think. Raphael. The Tough Turtle. Let's go for Surak here. Play a Basilisk Collar. Try to at least get tokens off of Beza, I think. Should be pretty easy to do, right? Curse Crafter. Do you have a 1-drop? Are they playing any 1-drops? I don't know that I've seen any. Do I give up the Surak here? I don't see why not. I'm kind of happy to get the Curse Crafter off the field, and this is like a 2-for-1 with the Herd Heirloom anyway. I think that's okay. Get a little redraw action. Temple Garden. Okay. Pass it back to you. Tough Turtle. 3 toughness, sticking around through a Pyroclasm. There's the Sear Slicer. So we have a nice little Pyro into, or a Beza into Pyroclasm? Pyroclasm into Beza? No, I guess we have to just play the Beza. Just play the Beza. Alright. Seam Rip not bad. Being able to Seam Rip Raphael, I think, is pretty relevant. Oh, I'm a dingus. I could have redrawn. Alright, don't at me in the comments. I was too focused on I was too focused on all the other stuff going on and just wanting to get the Bez out of my hand. I definitely could have redrawn there. That was pretty silly. Still, pretty sure I'm going to win this one. Pretty handily. They pick up their Curse Crafter out of the graveyard. I think I just Pyroclasm this board, even if I'm giving up my fish. Well, maybe not. Not with the Nova Hellkite draw. We kind of get to do everything here. I think I'm going to opt to kill off the Grub. I'm much more afraid of Grub shenanigans than Sear Slicer with the Pyroclasm in hand. Token for token. Get a redraw here. Nova Hellkite, pretty nasty against their 1 toughness creatures. Pass it back to you, and I'm pretty sure with the Balustrade Worm draw. I mean, we were like 99% to win this anyway, but we just have too much gas now. Even if they go runner, removal. I don't know. They're thinking. They can't swing into me. Clipsed Boggart. Okay. Grabs a mountain. Sorry, Miffy. Sorry you had to go down this way. A single fish. Play the Hellkite here. Actually, if I just Pyroclasm... No, I don't think I have a lethal here. Worm plus Pyroclasm? Not quite, right? Because they'll live at 1 with blocks. So I might as well just play the Hellkite. Pass it back to you. Well, I guess depending on what we redraw here. Comfortable life total, way ahead on board. Feel free to skip into the next match, because this is certainly a dub. Unless they go Swamp and Deadly Cover-Up. But even then, they're just dead to a Hasty Worm. Another Boggart. Alright, Miffy. I don't know, dude. Just pack it in. Just know when you're beat. No offense or anything. You're at 2. I'm at a cool 26. You've seen I've got hasty guys. Not much to be done here. G frickin' G. 2-1. Lost to the mono black mid-range-ish deck. Aggro? Almost. I don't know. They had unholy annexes. Seemed decent. I don't know. Seemed decent. Unholy Annex, weirdly a card I haven't cast too much. I feel like it's a card I would like casting. It seems quite good. I picked up my playset in paper, but still only have 1 on Arena, so haven't really toyed around with it too much. On to match number 4 here. 2-1, not a bad start. Oh shit, I got a Millennium Calendar as as one of my card rewards. That might make an appearance someday. All right, match 4 on the play again. I feel like we've been getting pretty lucky with the play draw. Pretty good hand here. Scout the city. It seems like it's going to be okay here at the very least. Help us try to dig for some action. Could also maybe put a sneaky Balustrade Worm in the graveyard, although that Delirium bit, in my initial video, like a couple months ago, I thought it would be a little easier to enable. It's not that important, right? I think I'm just going to lead on the tapped Temple Garden here. I don't think I need to run out the Helm quite yet. Draw a Seam Rip. Let's just play the Helm. Let's just keep playing our lands tapped here. Forest is a pretty good sign that our Day of Judgment should be good. There's the Cub. Little mono green Landfall. Restless Ridgeline. Let's just scout the city here. Decide what I want to do after that. Double instance in the graveyard. Grab a Temple Garden. Do I Seam Rip the Cub? I think I'm just going to play the Temple Garden and pass. Try to get them with a Day of Judgment. I'm kind of hoping they run out an Ice Till Explorer here. I think that's kind of the ideal like scenario for our Day of Judgment to look pretty good. Did not mill into any real action. Mossborn Hydra. I mean, this is pretty good too. Pretty happy to nab this with the Doge. It's me for 2. Herd Heirloom. Okay. I'd love to find some action here, but Herd Heirloom's not the worst draw, at least to keep our action, like, keep our momentum going once we do find action. So, say we go, like, Herd Heirloom into Nova Hellkite. Get a nice little immediate redraw and bop them for a cool 8. They cast an Esper Origins. Not too worried about that. I'm kind of thinking maybe more Vibrances would be good. It would up our creature count to enable Herd Heirloom and Giantcraft Helm better, and it's just more early flexible removal. I kind of feel like maybe that's the thing that's really missing from this list is like sometimes we just find ourselves in this position where we are waiting for far too long for some action to come along, but Vibrance does a little, the early little flexibility, right? Might be worth including a full playset even. Fifth land. Esper Origins, holding on to the Fabled Passage here. Might have a Harmonizer in hand. We have a nice answer to the Seam Rip. Now is like the perfect opportunity to draw some real action. Sapling Nursery, no, in this fuck-ass art. Look at his face, dude. Blacksmith's Talent, okay. Blacksmith's Talent, not the worst draw, actually. Helps this Restless Ridgeline be relevant. Seam Rip here. Maybe it's Copium. Maybe it's Copium. I don't know. I feel like I'm probably just like uber dead to the Sapling Nursery over the course of a couple turns here. Level up the talent. Part 1. 1, 2, 3. You know what's kind of funny is they're like so close to dying to just straight up a Nova Hellkite now with the double strike from the talent. Them being at 24 complicates that a little bit. But if I get one touch with the ridge line and then come in swinging with a Hellkite, maybe we're feeling okay. They can't actually cast the nursery right now, I think, unless maybe they crack the fetch first. Ice Till. Ugh. What is this fuck-ass art? Okay. My mom recently found out I've been making YouTube videos, and it's drawn. I just now had the thought, like, I've been saying shit like "fuck ass" and whatnot, and you know, I'm a 30-year-old man, so I don't really care. But at the same time, it is kind of funny to like have that that kernel of thought, that seed of thought, like, oh no, balustrade worm. Okay, balustrade worm, huh? Well, I've just got to go for a redraw here, huh? It'd be nice to be able to give this double strike, but unfortunately I cannot. Right? 4 to level up all the way. Yeah, the double strike will have to wait till next turn. But we can get in for a pretty big single strike. Unless they have Harmonizer in hand and I just die. Certainly a possibility. Let's not equip the sword in case I redraw into a Get Lost here. Actually, I guess I can equip the sword for free. If I redraw into a Get Lost here, maybe I kind of pull this win out. Or a, the white... Whoa, 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 whoa! Do I just go for it now? Holy shit. What could they possibly have? Guess I just wait. This gives them the opportunity to replay a Fabled Passage, I suppose. I'm kind of thinking I could bait out a, I was thinking I could bait out a Harmonizer, though. Okay, let's just kill the Ice Till now. I'm glad they gave me a window to to do this. I feel like, in retrospect, this is clearly the better option. No way they have, like, a random Snakeskin Veil in hand. Okay. Whew. Yeah, in retrospect, I probably should have just done that on my turn, but I kind of got to get them a little bit here. Plays a Fabled Passage from hand, but they might just be dead to my giant double striking worm. Not dead to it, maybe, but in a bad spot. I guess they can crack 1,000,000 lands and get 1,000,000 tree folk with Indestructible to form a solid wall. If I draw Basilisk Collar, I think they are for sure dead. I don't think they can produce enough blockers. They'd have to have like 6 blockers. No, they'd have to have 7 blockers, right? To be able to fight through a double strike, trample, death touch blocker or attacker. That Get Lost top deck was clutch. Being able to guarantee another turn here. And I get to draw 2 cards next turn, probably. I guess maybe just 1 if they block with the whole wall. Gear Hulk draws me into Basilisk Collar. Archdruid's Charm. Oh, okay. They killed off my Giantcraft Helm. That does complicate things a little bit. Stomping Ground. So I think we still have to level this up. And I can't also equip... I can't also fire up the Restless Ridgeline here, but I can at the very least kind of make them block this. I guess maybe they don't have to, but at the same time, if they don't, I just get guaranteed 2 cards, which could be like a Day of Judgment, perhaps. And if they block sack, I think I'm kind of feeling okay about that. They don't block sack. Sorcery instant, creature. Okay. Seems pretty good. So we can first strike off this tree folk and then kill off a second one. Scout the City milling over 2 instants a little unfortunate. If it had hit even 1 land or enchantment, we'd be able to replay the worm here. I guess I just pass. Feels like I'm pretty much dead to anything here. A Stiff Breeze, perhaps. Sapling Nursery is just so messed up. Maybe a one of like Curious Farm Animals or Fungus is justified here. There are just so many options when you're playing a Gear Hulk list. At a certain point, it starts to just look like mush. If you start like considering every possibility, you know what I mean? Gets me down to 10. Seam Rip. Okay. Seam Rip a Tree Folk. Hit them with my Restless Ridgeline. Maybe draw into another Seam Rip. Am I still alive then? I probably should have played this Stomping Ground tapped last turn. In retrospect. Oh. I can't. How did I miss that window to draw? How did I miss that window? I accidentally clicked through the first opportunity there to get a redraw. Well, I guess we'll never know. Just dead to the Bossing Say there. Okay, kind of close-ish. Kind of close-ish. It felt like maybe there was an opportunity or a way to win that one. Not quite in the end there. I'm going to bring in the Authority of the Consuls, because I think the way this game plays out is our Day of Judgments are good, but they can eventually just stick a Sapling Nursery to rebuild and, like, block, right? But if I have an Authority of the Consuls in the deck, pretty easy to find late game that takes off, like, their ability to block on those critical turns. Could be worth including. Go down a Seam Rip. Go down Scout the City. Actually, I think it's fine. It's fine. Like, late game, being able to cast our, or get our worms out of the graveyard could be relevant in this matchup. Didn't work that time, but I do believe it could work in theory. At the very least, it's a relatively harmless include. Dragon Sniper seems okay. Maybe it's a little small potatoes here. Little small potatoes. All right, on the play. Gotta mull this. Probably gotta mull this too. Not really the way you want to see these things go, but such is life. We'll keep this. Let's keep it like this, I think. We'll be able to manage an early Cub/Elf and then maybe get lucky and hit a second one. Or manage an early Saz's Chocobo with the Seam Rip and then snag a land, Earthbent land with the Nova Hellkite. Best draw right now, probably just like a Herd Heirloom. And then we can turn 3 Nova Hellkite with a redraw. See what our opponent's up to. They are AFK right now, which bodes well for me. It's not good for the data, but it's good for my record here in this event. Still AFK, might just be a full-on match loss at this point. Which is lucky for me, because overall, honestly, I think this is probably among our worst matchups. We're just kind of doing relatively fair mid-rangey stuff, trying to hope that we survive long enough to get them with our silly little combo. And then, but Mono Green Landfall is kind of the king of just like having the best late game thing against decks that are trying to manage the board. Pass it back to you once again. Hit you down to 12. Still AFK? Okay. 3-1, 2-1 with an asterisk, 3-1 with an asterisk, however you want to put it. It's not a match win, obviously, but for the sake of my rewards, you know, at the end of this, pretty happy to have a match win here. Still, not great data for the Giantcraft mid-range list, I suppose, overall. I do feel like we were pretty unfavored. So take that as you will. You know, once you build this deck, or if you're interested in trying this deck, just know that despite having Day of Judgments and whatnot, it's still going to be pretty rough into the mono green landfall list, I think, generally. Into match 5 here. I'd like to play against, like, Is It Prowess? I feel like that'd be a good test of what we're doing here. Pretty solid hand overall here. Turn 3 Beza with the Herd Heirloom. Hello? Abzan Deserts? No. What the fuck? Get out of here. What is this? All right. I'm still pretty curious to know what they're doing. Maybe. Actually, you know what? Maybe they're doing like Abzan Gearhulk Deserts. Oh. Maybe. No. Okay. They just have the ping lands to do extra damage, maybe? Scour Barrens. All right. Just some kind of Orzhov pile. Man, I got excited for a moment. Check out this Beza, though. Pretty good. Little life, little annoying guy. Clog up the board. Start drawing some cards. Curious farm animals. Good to know about. Pretty decent against our deck. Man, they faked me out with the Forlorn Flats, dude. Looks like they're going to blow up my Herd Heirloom, which is actually probably smart. Takes me off of the trample off of Beza. Keeps me from redrawing. They can wait. They should just wait. They do decide to wait. Balustrade Worm. Maybe if I Seam Rip the Blood Witch. Maybe they weren't supposed to wait, because now I get to do a redraw once anyway. Right? If they just rip it during their turn, I don't get a redraw off the heirloom. Yeah, I changed my mind. They shouldn't have waited. Give Bez a trample here. Exile the Blood Witch. Start hitting ya. Feeling pretty good about this. See what we draw off Beza. Might be a white source to hold up Get Losts. They block, but it's not going to matter. Draw into a Bright Glass Gearhulk. So we'll put this on white. Guarantee we can cast our Gearhulks. There's almost maybe an argument for playing a second Valgavoth lair. I feel like I've found myself in this situation a couple times, where I have the lair on the field, but I want an extra land drop guaranteed. It's kind of nice because it, you know, you can. It's a 5-color land that you can find off of Gearhulk. Helps you guarantee you hit your land drops. It's probably worth playing a second one at the very least, and then at that point you maybe even include a couple Bossing Say to do the Earthbend thing. I kind of like the idea of that, actually. Hushwood Verge. Well, I don't think they can like keep up with what we're doing here, to be honest with you. The game is simply too far gone. Grab a Helm. Grab a Blacksmith's Talent. Get the talent on the field. Hit them with our dinguses. They only have one card in hand, and they're not really set up for a big Raise the Past. Bloodthirsty Conqueror. Okay, well. I wonder if they're on the combo. We have a Get Lost. They are Hellbent. Pretty sure that's all she wrote. Yeah, I'm not really going to think about this one too much. Go ahead and level up the talent. This opens up our options for next turn. Meh. Hit you with everything. Maybe I was probably supposed to put the sword on the Gearhulk. That's a little worse if they have removal for the Gearhulk, but enables an extra double striking guy. Well, there's their combo. There's the combo. Good to know. that they have a little bit of a combo situation going on here. Change how we play in the future. Manage our instant speed removal a little better. Seems like a weird build, though. I kind of understand that they need a way to trigger the life gain to go off, but these don't really seem like it to me. Draw another Gear Hulk. Let's just level up the talent all the way. Actually, oh, I was supposed to hold up instant speed removal. I'm supposed to hold up instant speed removal, because if they do draw... Oh, wait, no, they have a Dream Beavers on top. Okay, I'm totally fine. I was going to say, if they draw the Conqueror, I'm toast. I'm totally fine, though. Beat them down. 8/8 Gear Hulk, double strike. Fish, double strike. Down to 2. And we know they're top deck, so they can't win. All right. A bit of a roller coaster of emotions there. Bit of a roller coaster. Leave something on top. Whatever it is will not be enough. 8/8. Double strike trample. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's just my casual 8/8 double strike trample. What a fun card. I guess I play another worm? Or I play a worm? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sure, you can have the helmet this time. Bop ya. Da-da-da-da-da-da. On to game 2. I think we can win this one. Seems actually like a good Pyroclasm matchup if they're really in on these like cheap guys to help enable the combo. And then we maybe just cut the Day of Judgments. I think Pyroclasm's going to be enough, and then, with the Seam Rips, Authority of the Consuls could be okay, just to keep my life total high, and so I don't actually just die to them having a bunch of little dinguses on the board. Probably not worth it, though. I think it's just bring in the Pyroclasms and hold up Get Lost. That's about it. Curious to know if they're on any sort of graveyard effect. Maybe Day of Judgment's fine. I run it like this. All right, pretty good hand here. Good mix of proactive and reactive. Game 2 on the draw. Herd Heirloom into Beza again. Pretty nice. Authority of the Consuls, that's fine. Pyroclasm, love to see it. It's going to take us off of haste, but I don't think it's actually that important in this matchup. I doubt they have straight up board wipes, and they can't, like, out-card advantage me. I'm just going to go for the lair here, I think. I'm just going to play the lair. Put this on white. See if they run out more creatures and what have you into my Pyroclasm. Yeah, I don't... This Authority of the Consuls would be good if they could go bigger than me, but they can't go bigger than me. So I don't really get punished for, like, having a slower game. You know what I mean? This is not what they need to concern themselves with. Pretty easy choice there, I think. Cool little 3-for-1. They could combo, which I guess is technically bigger, but what I mean by that is more like card advantage. If they have more card advantage than me, then maybe the Authority of the Consuls makes sense to slow down the game. I'm gonna scout the city into the Herd Heirloom. I'm thinking I'll hit a land here. All right, well, not a land to cast the Herd Heirloom, but pretty happy with that hit. Sorcery, land, instant. Not too likely. Oh, and creature. So pretty likely, actually, that we do get Delirium this game, if we want it. We can go Herd Heirloom into Beza for life and a redraw. Seems good to me. Pass it back to you. Opponent stuck at 2 lands. Absolutely ranching them. I guess we just play a worm and start hitting them with the Beza. Not really much else that we need to do here. Block with a Market Gnome. Once they get up to 5 mana, that's when we really need to hold up the get lost, but obviously, like, stuck on 2, nothing really to be done. Probably smart for them to redraw here, just to hope that they hit a land, right? I guess I could just seam rip the Authority of the Consuls. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Maybe next turn. They draw their 3rd land. If they have exactly split up right now, maybe. But we know that we have all this gas in hand. It just doesn't matter. Curious to know if they've won many games with this list. I kind of see what they're going for. 1 drops that gain life to enable the combo, but you don't really need that much to enable the combo. Seems a little deep. There's the Blight Priest. Play a land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can just double level up the talent here. For a double striking worm. Hit him. 2 draws. And then next turn I can seam rip the Authority, pretty much guarantee I have lethal here. Double Nova Hellkite. They can't cast the Conqueror. Vanishing Light. Alright. Alright, wrap it up, folks. Wrap it up. Wrap it up. GG. 4-1 overall. I mean, 3-1 technically. And not the best data necessarily for the competitiveness of the deck, because once again, as seems to be the case, or typical, as seems to be typical of these traditional standard events, kind of a weird mix of matchups here. Kind of a weird mix of matchups, a lot of off-meta stuff. Get him with the worm. Bop ya. But still, the proactive stuff looked good. The reactive stuff looked good. I'm pretty sure we would have lost a mono green landfall. So if you wanted to call it a 3-2 overall, no Izzet Prowess, no Izzet Spell Elementals, no 4-color elementals in this run. But still, fun run, fun list. It's like equipping the Giantcraft Helm, making a big dumb hasty creature. Like, what's not to love? What's not to love about that? You know what I mean? I think it's really fun in an aggressive meta, really good in an aggressive meta, because we can access a bunch of seam rips and have the main deck board wipes and just have a better top end. And I think it's pretty good into control. But outside of that, like, probably nearly, I would guess it's probably like a 60-40 in the favor of mono green landfall, maybe even like 65-35 or worse. I don't know. Board wipes just don't do enough to stop them. They get to be relevant at every point of the game, right? Just having the early game aggression from Saz's Chocobo, the potential to just kind of outright kill you by turn 3 and 4, with also the best, like, value late game plan, probably in standard. That plays decently well defensively for a mono green deck. It doesn't play well defensively in the early stages of the game, but by the time they get the sapling nursery on the field, it's pretty hard to recover from that point. Anywho, appreciate you watching. Fun run. If you like this video, I'll be posting standard content every day. for now, every day, for now, for the foreseeable future. I'm kind of toying around with the idea of maybe scaling back how often I post slightly, just to maybe be able to post content that I believe in a little more consistently, you know. But don't worry about that. Still coming every day for now. If you like this video and you'd like to see more of this, let me know. Appreciate you watching. Why don't you come on back? Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.